Hello, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's. Got a Jaguar E-Pace here, and the customer has been through, what can you say, through an ordeal for a fair few months. So it spent 3 weeks in one garage, spent another 6 weeks at another garage, he said. Then it spent another couple of weeks at another garage, and each time it's been back, the lights have come back on. So I've already set up the diagnostic tool here. This is the Launcher Tab 3. We've got a correlation code with the turbocharger, oxygen sensor circuit, but these are the main codes that he's been getting consistently here. P2002, P049B. So he spent $3 grand getting a new EGR valves and some other work, he said. I think a DPF clean. The next day all of these faults came back after spending that amount of money. So on the inside there you got the engine management light on. I don't know if you could hear me properly out there, it's a bit noisy. Got people cutting grass and the engine is running. So basically he said he spent I think 3 or 3.5 grand on EGR valve and DPF clean, and within 24 hours the faults have come back. It's been back to 2 or 3 different garages. He said it spent like 3 to 6 weeks at each garage while they were trying to sort it out. Now, one garage has said, let's try replacing the EGR valve again, and he said of course he didn't want to do that. And then one garage has suggested they wanted to change the DPF. Now that is the right thing to do. What needs doing here is, what's happening with this and why the faults come back is the DPF is cracked and it's letting soot get past. Once the soot gets past the DPF, it comes over here and blocks up the EGR filter for the low pressure EGR, and if you put a new one on, it will block within 24 hours. So that's why he's got these codes. So it needs a new DPF at first, and then the EGR filter replacing after that. Oxygen sensor circuit is probably just going to need an oxygen sensor. So I'm just here to diagnose the problem. I'm not going to be fixing anything today, I don't think. But he said the vehicle is also been hiccuping for the last 3 months. So when he puts his foot on the accelerator, it's sort of, you know, it's giving power and then taking it away, taking it, jumping, sort of like kangarooing or hiccuping. And I think that's going to be because of this problem here. So he's maybe got a boost leak somewhere. Now the vehicle's been, various parts have been apart, they've been taken apart and put back on, so I don't know if some of the work has not been done properly, but we'll try and have a look under the engine and I'll show you what I've found. Okay, so it's the ingenium engine. Take that engine cover away. So immediately, I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but I can hear a sort of rumbling, you know, like a deep breathing sound. If I pull that off, I can see that there's, you probably can't see that, but there's way too much pressure coming from the oil cap there. So it's heavy breathing. Now if I listen over here and I put my hand there, I can feel air blowing outwards. So there's air blowing out towards my hand. That should be sucking air in. It should be sucking it in. Now of course it is sucking air in, but it's also blowing air back out on the exhaust stroke, I think. So the engine just sounds very rumbly, heavy breathing. So I think the engine itself is getting tired. Okay, so what's it going to need? It's going to need, I mean, the engine itself is getting tired, so that's going to need a rebuild on the engine pretty soon. But to fix the problem he's got now, it's going to need an O2 sensor, a new DPF, and a new low pressure EGR, or a new low pressure EGR filter. Yeah, so what I'm going to do for now is just to see if there's an air leak. I'm going to connect up a smoke test on here and just see if we can find any other issues. Okay, so I've set up a smoke test onto the engine. Now that's been running for at least 5 minutes, so we haven't got any leak, so I'll disconnect that. You can see there that put a lot of pressure through the engine and there is no leak. So I think the air correlation code is going to be just coming from maybe damaged valves or whatever. You're getting air pressure coming back through the system. Okay, so there's no boost leak. We've got air correlation codes. I think it's just the engine's a bit worn, obviously piston rings or valves or whatever. Like I said, we're getting air coming upwards back out of the air intake. The customer did say, yeah, it was Jaguar that fitted the EGR, and the next day the light came back on and they said it was down to his driving. Can your driving be that bad in 24 hours? I don't know, apparently Jaguar seemed to think so. Okay, so I'm not going to be fixing any of these issues, but at least I'm giving the guy an answer here to what's going on. I'm not even going to look at this because, you know, what's the point of trying to look at an oxygen sensor, pulling off the wire and then testing it, make sure, or even replacing it, because, you know, he's got way bigger issues going on here. He's got this issue, this issue, the EGR, so he's got, this vehicle needs possibly an engine rebuild, a new DPF, a new EGR and oxygen sensor. It's already had work done over the last 6 months and the mileage is only at, let's turn the engine on, wait for that to wake up, 32,000 miles, and it's a 2020 vehicle. Now again, if we go to the exhaust tip, you can see there, black soot, DPF is damaged. This is the 2-litre ingenium 240D and it's an E-Pace. So that's it, we're pretty much all done on the diagnostic on that vehicle there. See you in the next video.